You had comments on Angel Reese and it went viral. People were saying, oh, you're an Angel Reese hater.
All of you all that are gonna go home and write a biography on how wrong this is, you guys can kick rocks. What's up, fam? Candace Parker here. I'm gonna do a tier ranking of WNBA players. I'm gonna try. Then you got Angel Reese. I put her right at that C level.
What happens when one of the most respected legends in women's basketball finally says what everyone else has been too afraid to say out loud? Candace Parker didn't just ruffle feathers. She absolutely demolished the carefully constructed facade that has been propping up Angel Reese's fraudulent reputation. Because when Parker ranked Reese as a C-tier player, the internet didn't just react. It exploded. Delusional fans lost their minds. Enablers called her a hater. And Reese herself? She fired off a cryptic post whining that clout is one hell of a drug. But here's the devastating truth. Parker wasn't chasing clout. She was exposing the biggest hoax in WNBA history. While the media kept celebrating Reese's meaningless double-double streaks, Parker looked beneath the surface with the sharp eye of a true champion. She asked the question that sent Reese's supporters into complete meltdown mode. Do these stats actually mean anything when your team keeps losing? Or are we all just hypnotized by empty numbers that mask fundamental incompetence? Candace Parker didn't have to destroy Angel Reese's carefully crafted image. She could have smiled, nodded, and played along with the charade like everybody else. But instead, she did what only legends with unshakable integrity do. She told the uncomfortable truth that needed to be said.
The thing is then if you bring something to the argument, bring something else. Can she get to player A or player S or whatever? Yes, she can. Yes. Right now, I don't know if she's alongside those players in B's.
When Parker delivered her assessment, every word landed like a precision strike against years of manufactured hype. And if you've ever watched Parker dominate at the highest level, you know she doesn't throw around analysis lightly. She's a 2-time MVP, a 7-time All-Star, and someone who has actually led teams to championships. Her credentials are absolutely bulletproof. This isn't some jealous has-been trying to tear down the next generation. This is a Hall of Fame player with unquestionable basketball IQ, exposing what separates real stars from overhyped role players.
I will never attack anybody's character. I will never attack who they are ever. And I just hope that others will do the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like there has to be room in broadcasting and talking about women's hoops where you can objectively talk about in an objective and constructive way when someone is playing well and when they're not. That's literally our job. Also to make an opinion over something and to project over time. And you bring in a legend because you respect the body of work and what they're saying.
Parker's ranking system revealed the brutal hierarchy that Reese's supporters refused to acknowledge. While Aja Wilson, Nafisa Collier, and Brianna Stewart occupied the elite S tier, players who can genuinely carry championship teams, even Caitlin Clark landed solidly in A tier. Why? Because Clark demonstrated something Reese has never shown and never will, the ability to elevate teammates and transform an entire franchise's trajectory from day one. The contrast was absolutely devastating for Reese's inflated reputation. Clark's A-tier placement proved Parker values players who impact winning beyond just padding meaningless individual statistics. Clark's ability to completely transform the Fever's entire offensive system demonstrated exactly what Parker meant by carrying a team. Meanwhile, Reese found herself grouped with Cameron Brink, an injured player still trying to prove herself, treating Reese like she's just another developing scrub instead of the manufactured superstar her fans claim she is. They couldn't believe their double-double queen was being exposed as the fraud she's always been. Ranked below players they considered less accomplished. The outrage reached fever pitch as fans demanded explanations for what they called disrespect, when it was actually just honest basketball analysis. But Parker's dignified response only made Reese look more pathetic by comparison. While the legend articulated clear, basketball-based reasoning with the wisdom of someone who's actually achieved greatness, Reese's camp could only respond with emotion, hurt feelings, and social media drama. So why the hysterical backlash? Because Parker had the audacity to point out that the Emperor has no clothes. She didn't just challenge Reese's inflated fan bases. She tore down the false narrative that's been propping up a mediocre player's career. And Angel Reese? She responded exactly like someone who knows they've been exposed, with deflection, victimhood, and social media theatrics, instead of letting her game do the talking. Let's examine the cold, hard facts that Parker was analyzing while everyone else was getting fooled by surface-level statistics. Angel Reese had that infamous game against the Minnesota Lynx, where she turned the ball over 9 times. 9 turnovers that should have ended any serious discussion about her being a legitimate star player. And these weren't steals by elite defenders making incredible hustle plays. These were unforced errors that exposed fundamental flaws in her basketball IQ. Sloppy passes sailing over teammates' heads like she was playing catch with invisible receivers. Traveling violations from atrocious footwork. Ball handling mistakes that would embarrass high school JV players, let alone someone being marketed as a professional superstar. Parker was watching those disasters unfold with the trained eye of someone who's actually performed under pressure at the highest level. And what she saw was absolutely devastating. Reese wasn't just failing to help her team win. She was actively sabotaging their chances with her incompetence. The types of turnovers Reese was committing weren't the result of elite defensive pressure or trying to make difficult plays. The Lynx didn't even have to work hard to get these steals. Reese was literally handing them the basketball like she was working for the opposing team. What made it even more embarrassing was how opposing coaches started studying this pathetic performance like it was a masterclass in how to exploit a fake star. Teams began running specific sets designed to force the ball into Reese's hands in uncomfortable situations, knowing she'd inevitably crack under the slightest pressure and gift them free possessions. This wasn't some isolated bad night that everyone has. The 9-turnover nightmare was just the most obvious example of a troubling pattern that defined Reese's entire fraudulent career. Game after game, she'd accumulate meaningless rebounding numbers while simultaneously destroying her team's chances with careless, idiotic mistakes. The Sky were losing winnable games because their supposed star couldn't handle the most basic responsibility of not giving the ball away. Her plus-minus in that Lynx disaster? A pathetic -19. But instead of acknowledging this embarrassment, the media kept pushing the same tired narrative about her precious double-double streak. The most damning evidence that Parker was absolutely right? The actual data that exposes everything wrong with the Angel Reese experiment. When the Chicago Sky limits Reese to fewer than 30 minutes per game, their win percentage jumps dramatically, compared to games where she plays extended minutes. Let that sink in. The team literally performs better when their supposed star player is sitting on the bench. That's not just a red flag. That's a complete demolition of everything the media has been selling about Reese's value. Chicago moves the ball more effectively when Reese isn't poisoning their offensive flow. Other players find their rhythm when they're not constantly trying to accommodate her chaotic, selfish playing style. The Sky actually look like a competent basketball unit instead of a complete mess built around one player's obsession with padding rebounding stats while destroying team chemistry. Through nearly 2 seasons in the WNBA, Angel Reese has proven exactly one thing. She's a losing player who hurts her team's chances of success. She's not an impact player. She's not someone you can rely on to perform when it matters. The Chicago Sky cannot and will not ever be able to rely on Angel Reese to achieve anything meaningful. She can't even get them to the playoffs, let alone compete for a championship. And this devastating assessment is no longer just the opinion of critics. Parker's brutal honesty exposed the most uncomfortable pattern in recent WNBA history. Chicago has only one victory against a team above .505 in the last year. One win against winning teams while their supposed superstar has been front and center for the franchise. That's not a coincidence when your star player's presence directly correlates with worse team performance. It's a damning indictment of everything wrong with manufactured hype. The Sky have suffered 4 humiliating 40-point blowouts, and Reese was prominently featured in most of those disasters, proving that her individual stats mean absolutely nothing when her team gets demolished by competent opponents. As one analyst perfectly summarized the Angel Reese problem, if Angel Reese is your best player, your team stinks. Parker's courageous assessment revealed the 2 completely different paths the WNBA can take moving forward. One path is built on genuine talent that translates to wins and championship potential, represented by players like Angel Wilson and Caitlin Clark who actually make their teammates better. The other path relies on manufactured hype that crumbles under playoff pressure and produces nothing but empty stats and social media drama. Angel Reese represents everything wrong with the second path, while authentic stars like Clark embody the excellence the league desperately needs to maintain credibility. To her credit, Reese has successfully marketed herself as relevant through an endless parade of ridiculous aliases. Double-Double Barbie, Me-Bound Barbie, Bayou Barbie, Bricklayer Barbie. Her PR team has done an admittedly brilliant job at polishing this particular turd and convincing people it's actually gold. But as Parker's honest assessment proved, marketing and promotion can only take you so far when you're fundamentally inadequate at your job. There always comes a point when the polish melts off and you're expected to actually perform when it matters. And when that moment came for Angel Reese, she failed spectacularly while Parker watched with the knowing eye of someone who's actually achieved greatness. Meanwhile, her devastating assessment opened the floodgates for other analysts and fans to finally speak the truth they'd been thinking all along. The results speak for themselves with brutal clarity. Basketball fans are now equipped to see through hollow statistics and recognize the difference between genuine game-changing impact and empty stat padding. They understand that 9 turnovers in a single game reveals infinitely more about a player's true ability than 30 meaningless double-doubles ever could. But here's the truth. The future of women's basketball looks absolutely incredible when it's led by players who understand that winning trumps individual accolades every single time. Players who make their teammates better instead of worse. Players who perform when the pressure mounts instead of crumbling. Players who care more about cutting down championship nets than accumulating meaningless personal statistics for social media content. Thanks to Candace Parker's courage, the truth has finally won. And it's about damn time someone with her credibility and integrity said what needed to be said about the Angel Reese fraud. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Thanks for watching.